Welcome to the Paranormal Project radio show. Journey with us through mystical realms to a world of the unexplained. If you're ready, take a deep breath and let curiosity be your guide. And now, here are your hosts, spirit medium Scott Allen and Christina Bowen, the Green Witch of Tennessee.
Hello and welcome back to the very first live episode of season 3. And I'm here today with my new host, Christina Bowen. Take a bow. There you go. She is the Green Witch of Tennessee, and I'm so glad she's here with us. Last week's show was recorded. This week, we're going to be doing it live for you. So come on in with the comments, share with us any questions and concerns, complaints, whatever you have, bring it with us. We're here to answer and be with you this afternoon. So we have a guest tonight. His name is Charles Rosenay. He's been on the show once before. He is he's got so much going on. He is the author of True Ghost Stories of Connecticut. He is the author of Top 10 Beatles lists, The Paranormal Connecticut, and Top 10 Horror lists. He's a tour operator. He operates Liverpool tours and Dracula tours. I'm sure he'll tell us a little bit about that. He's the producer of Connecticut's first paranormal convention, the Salem Paranormal and Horror Convention, which is coming up Veterans Day weekend in November. We're going to talk to him about that. And we're going to talk about what else he's got going on in his life. He's got the haunted trolley. He's just a busy guy. I don't even know what part of the world he's in right now. So let's bring him out, Mr. Charles Rosenay. How are you, my friend? Good to see you again.
I'm sharing New England with you tonight.
That's awesome. Yeah, like I never know where you are. I'm seeing things across the pond and everything else. Charles, meet Christina. I think you met her once before. She was on a chat with us when we talked about going to
convention.
Salem. Yep.
Yeah.
Hi.
Nice to see you again.
So honored to be your first guest of the new season here.
We're excited to have you.
Yeah, really excited. So what's happening? What's happening, my friend?
Nothing.
Right, anything but nothing. I mean, we've got some stuff coming up here soon. It's kind of exciting. I mean, I'm looking forward to the convention in Salem. So anybody who's in and around Salem, Mass, or loves Salem, Mass, and wants to come out and check it out, I think it's going to be a good time.
People go to Salem during Halloween. Mm-hmm. They come back, they have a great time, but they're complaining about the crowds. They're complaining about parking. And I get it. It's the busiest time of the year to go. But when we're having our convention, it's endless parking. You'll be able to go to all these really great sites and attractions, and there's no lines. It's just a breeze. So November 11th and 12th, the Salem Paracon and Horror Convention is going to be very exciting for all of us.
And that's at Salem State University. So I'm sure there's plenty of parking right there on campus.
Exactly.
Is that walkable to all the other sites in Salem, or how far is that from, the downtown area and everything?
Yeah, anyone who's driving, is going to park there and then also drive to the other sites as well. There's not a lot of walking that goes on unless it's the students on campus. But it's the South Campus, which isn't as used as much. It's a very, very, a huge college, huge campus. And we take over that whole area and have a blast with it because it's the speakers on the stage, it's the vendors, it's all the attractions all in one area. And it's just very exciting to be in Salem. As you know, we do a Connecticut Paracon, which is our first one. And that's that's done in the earlier part of the year. But after last year's Salem Paracon and the success of it, and the people had such a great time, we had to keep doing it.
That's great. And you have, a guy that I can't wait to see him because I've never met him in person, but you have the amazing Kreskin coming, right?
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. You should be up
How
here.
did I not know that? That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, Kreskin was nice enough to write the foreword for my book, True Ghost Stories of Connecticut. And he was at one of my conventions in the past. And I booked him, for events locally and even in Puerto Rico. I've really done a lot with him through the years. And when you think of the paranormal, you think of the Warrens. That's the first one that comes to mind. When you think of magic, probably Houdini. For me, when you think of mentalism, he's the OG, right? The amazing
Yeah.
going back to Johnny Carson and forever. So really exciting to have him, to meet fans, to sign autographs, and hopefully do a show.
And don't you think too, I mean, at his age, let's be honest, he's no spring chicken, but he's still out doing it. He's still out doing it, which I think is fantastic.
What's crazy is, you ask him a question, he may or may not remember you, Oh, Charles Rose, it takes him a minute, but you put him on stage and he's right in his zone. He's got the act. He knows what he's doing. He starts reading minds. He finds things in the room that are, hidden. It's just amazing.
What do you think? I mean, and I know the show isn't really about Kreskin, but I have to ask you, what do you think the mentalism really is? Is it a gimmick? Is it a trick? Or is it more of a psychic intuitiveness, do you think?
I think it's combinations of a lot of elements. When he meets you, he shakes your hand and he shakes it very hard and vigorously. And I think he's getting a reading in doing that. There's an analysis of your voice. I mean, he's so astute in all this that, I'm sure there's some tricks involved in his mentalism show. But how does he, without fail, at the end of the show, you hide his check and you can hide it anywhere in the room and he'll find it. You're laughing, Christina. It's true. He's never gotten sniffed. He's always found the check, no matter where it was hidden. That's one of his things, and it's amazing. So he's written a bunch of books. I want that book that explains how he does what he does, and I don't think we're getting that.
No, it's pretty amazing, though. It's just, that's why he's the amazing Kreskin. I think it's fascinating. I think he's just fascinating. So I can't wait to
watching him.
Yeah. Are you old enough to remember Johnny Carson? I don't know if you are or not. Do you remember him on Carson?
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding? I was raised on Carson.
There you go.
I'm a Gen Xer. I'll own it.
Right. That's good. That's good.
I think Carson got his, when he would do his own mentalism, where he'd read the card, then open it up and it would be a joke. I think he got the amazing Carmack or I forgot what he called himself.
Yeah, I remember.
He got that from Kreskin. And what's great is Kreskin's a headliner. And, we also have a horror actress as a headliner. But all the guests, yourself and right across the board, if you go to the website, all these paranormal people, they're guests in their own right. Everyone either has a great program like you do, or they are out there doing investigations, they're clairvoyants, they're exorcism, they're authors. So it's not, we want that headliner because that gives it star appeal. But I think that when some of the people who aren't as well known come on stage and, tell their stories or show their, their goods, their ghost equipment, their discoveries, it makes for an amazing weekend.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's 2 days. And if you don't mind me plugging a little bit, I'm going to be there with psychic medium Chris Brown. We're doing a gallery event. I cannot.
No way.
Yeah. Did you know that? Yeah.
I'm so psyched.
I know. I'm so psyched. I can't wait to be there. So we've got 2 days, 1 o'clock on Saturday and 1 o'clock on Sunday. We're going to be doing gallery events at the Paracon. So that should be a lot of fun as well. Let me just say, tickets.
How long do those run, Scott? How long do those run?
I mean, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. It depends. You know what I mean? It depends on how many people are there and, how many people we're reading. So
I can't schedule Kreskin on stage at 1 o'clock at the convention because we don't want people going crazy as to what they. I'll remember that 1 o'clock spot.
Yep. So figure an hour and. An hour and 15, something like that would probably be safe, just to be safe,
Yes.
Yeah.
And
people start to ask questions in the galleries too. So
sometimes they do. And so tickets are available for the Paracon and for the gallery. They're separate.
Yes.
So you can get tickets to the Paracon. Where can they get tickets to the Paracon?
The best is to just go to the website, which is salemparacon.org, SalemParacon.org. That's the best place. And there's a click right there and you can get tickets in advance and they're reasonable, $19.99 to get in. It's ridiculous.
Can you get it at the door? If people were to show up, are they available at the door?
Yeah, they'll be available at the door too. We also have a VIP if someone wants to come in an hour early. A lot of folks like, hitting the vendors first, getting to
Yes.
stars, getting
Before
on.
all the good stuff's gone.
Right. So we do a VIP each day at 10 a.m. for another $5. Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Makes
That's not bad at all.
Tickets for the gallery are on sale on my website, which is mediumscottallen.com. Just go to events and you'll see it right there. You can get tickets to either the Saturday or the Sunday show. And you can also get them at the Paracon because we'll be right there. We can sell them to you that day if you like. But if you want to guarantee yourself a seat, you can get them. You can get them right there online. Tickets are $35 for the gallery.
So if I'm not mistaken, you also have a vending spot there, so people are able to come to you, ask questions at the table. They'll be able to get tickets for you there for the gallery. It all works together. Yes,
it all works together. They can get the tickets there for the gallery. Check out everything that's going on in the Paracon, and there might be just some deals on some readings that we offer people after the fact. I don't think we're going to be reading at the Paracon. We have a lot going on, and we want to meet people, but we may have a show special where you can get readings at
To book later.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, for another day. So I think
Mhm.
we'll have that available for people as well.
perfect.
If you can't find me, I'll be shaking hands with Kreskin. So wherever he is, you might find
Get
me.
ready. That grip, man. You got to get ready for him.
Break my bones.
You better send me a picture if I can't make it to that one.
Oh, I'm telling you. All right, who's this?
Well,
Who's hi here? Adam Bacon. Hello, Christina Bowen, psychic medium Scott Allen, and Charles Rosenay from Adam, the historian ghost hunter. See y'all soon. He's going to be there, I understand.
He is. I think this is his first Build convention guest appearance. So very excited. He's promoting the heck out of it and very excited to be there. And we're psyched to have him. But Christina, what I was going to say is let us know in advance. We'll either get you a signed photo or signed one of his books. Kreskin usually has a book there. So you're going to want his autograph and you're going to want Adam Bacon's autograph, the two of them.
I can handle that.
Definitely.
I gotcha.
I go a little fangirl sometimes. I can't help it.
I know. She comes from the mountains of Tennessee. So, when she's not casting evil spells in the hills, sometimes let her get out.
I went real fanboy with Tara Buckman, who's our horror actress who's coming to the convention. She was in Silent Night, Deadly Night. She was in Extro 2. On TV, she was in Freddy's Nightmares and Buck Rogers. But most people, we don't talk about the non-genre roles, might know her from Cannonball Run. She was one of those two gals, in the race with her and Adrienne Barbeau. And
I know exactly. I remember, once again, Gen Xer.
Classic film of our generation. And so she's coming to the convention. She'll sign autographs. She's amazing with meeting fans and taking photos. And we might add a surprise or two between now and then. We got a month and a half. We might throw in another guest between now and then.
That'd be great.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. So what else is happening at the Paracon? People might be interested. I know there'll be vendors and I know you talked a little bit about, are there going to be demonstrations or, I know you have some speakers lined up.
So it's pretty much nonstop speakers, a half hour talk, 15 minutes off, a half hour. We try to keep it going, the flow through Saturday and Sunday. The way we do conventions is a lot different than most. Some conventions will do it in a hotel, they'll do it in a convention center, and they'll have the guests in one ballroom. And then they'll have the vendors who sell the merch in another ballroom. They might have the readers and psychics and tellers in another room. And then they'll have the guests who talk on stage in a completely different ballroom. What I love to do is have everything in one room, and this way, if you're a vendor, you want to hear what the guests are saying. I always felt that as a vendor and a fan, I'm cheating a vendor if they're at the table and, they're selling their stuff, but they're also missing out on these great guest speakers on stage. Sam Baltrusis with his Ghosts of Salem book and Leanna Hyde. She's going to do a story on Edgar Allan Poe's Boston Roots. So, we've got such great guest speakers that, I think it would be a sin if everyone wasn't in the same room, to hear what was going on stage whilst all the activities at the tables go on. That's the bulk of it. In my brain, it's the visiting the vendors, it's getting the readings, it's buying some cool junk and merch and all that. It's learning, it's learning about the uses of equipment. Everything you see at any paranormal convention on the planet will be there. Plus, I think really special guests, and the guests bring the event to a higher level.
I
They
think it's.
do.
What were you going to say, Christina? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
Oh
off.
no, I'm just, me, I love Paracons. I love the energy, mingling with everybody. I mean, sometimes being a vendor, it's hard to get away from the table, but I like what you're doing is, as a vendor, even a busy vendor, still going to be able to enjoy the show
Right.
and hear everything that's going on. So I really like that approach.
Yeah, and it's worked. We do the same thing in Connecticut. We do exactly as it is in Salem. We talked about bringing a show to Long Island. We haven't found the right place because we want it to be that kind of a setup.
So where in Salem State is this? Is it what kind of a hall is it that you have?
Yep. So it's the South Campus, which is very important. It's 99 Harrison. It's a gigantic student center combined with gymnasium, right? So you walk in, there's a lobby area. You go to the right, and it's the huge old gym. You go straight, and that's where your event will be. And if we have Kreskin do a show at night, it'll probably be in the same area as you'll be doing your show during the day.
Oh, okay. That's great. That's great. I can't wait. And
Very
not to change the subject, but I think too, you just launched another book, didn't you?
It's nonstop. So whilst we're promoting the November Salem Paracon, all of October, I'm going to be hosting and promoting the Haunted Trolley in Connecticut, which is one of those actual old antique trolleys which take a ride out and come back. On board, we're going to do a murder mystery for it. We're calling it Murder on the Shoreline Express. And that's
I love that.
Every weekend in October in East Haven, Connecticut. And then in December, I've got a psychic fair at a place called, you're going to love this, the Witch Doctor Brewing Company. And so that's December 9th and 10th. So it's hard. I'm juggling the promoting. Do I concentrate on Salem? Do I concentrate on the Haunted Trolley? Do I concentrate? But all of those hopefully will be venues for flogging this book.
Those stories are Connecticut. How long did it take you to put that together, Charles? How long have you been working on that book?
Well, the first book took me literally forever, and we used a publisher, and then the publisher took a year to get it out. And that was the book of top 10 horror lists, which I think we spoke about the first time I was on. And that was a case where 100 celebrities gave me their top 10 favorite horror lists. I must have it here somewhere to show. And it was very successful, and I had a great time with it. But I really got the itch for doing books. And I got the knack for doing books. And really what I did is I interviewed a ton of paranormal people, like us, and the community, and people who I reached out to. And what I wanted, this was the criteria. I wanted it to have something to do with Connecticut, hopefully a location or, a connection with Connecticut. And it had to be a true story. I didn't want somebody to go embellishing it, making it more scary, flowering it up, adding, I didn't want it to be a script for a future movie. I wanted, what happened to you? Why was it scary? What's the connection with Connecticut? And over 30 people, I did 3 chapters, came through. And
wow.
We were talking about Kreskin. Not only did he give me the forward, guys, he gave me an amazing story in there. And we use the word amazing. Can't help it when it comes to Kreskin, about a scenario where he flies all over the world to do gigs, and he would always take the same route from his home to the airport in Newark every single day of his life. If he had a gig, if it was once a week, if it was 10 times, whatever, he'd go this route. One day he slept about 5 minutes late and decided to go another route to the airport. And this is in the book, and he tells it, and I can't tell it in the encapsulation form how he tells it, but he somehow got lost on this new route. and he was freaking out, and he got to the airport, and he ran up to the desk, and it's me, it's Kreskin. You have to stop the plane. I have to get on the plane. And they said, we know it's you. You don't have to go through security. We'll try. We puts him through right at the gate, and they say, I'm sorry, the gate's closed. We took off. You know what the next part of it, right, guys? The plane crashed.
The plane crashed.
The plane crashed.
Oh my God.
And when they were, gathering, I don't want to get morbid, but when let's say they were gathering the luggage, they were looking for his luggage because they thought he made it onto the plane. And of course he didn't. And, he got to the gig on a later flight, made it somehow, but he tells this story. Why on that date? Why did he go a different route? He's never slept late in his life, that kind of thing. And those are the type of, wow stories that I think really make the book special and not necessarily vital to a reader who loves the Connecticut stories, because it works for everything. When you get the book True Ghosts of Kentucky, or you get the ones from your area, they're fascinating reading. You want to read ghost stories, and this book is as good as they get when it comes to the ghost stories.
Wow.
Now, where is that available?
It's available on Amazon, of course. That's the easiest way, but folks love, signed copies, and I love inscribing and signing copies. The website for that book is www.paranormalconnecticut.com.
Perfect.
You can get True Ghost Stories of Connecticut by Charles Rosenay with a foreword by the amazing Kreskin.
That's great. Does he live in Connecticut, or
he lives in New Jersey?
Oh, he does live in New Jersey. Okay.
Scott, no stalking. No stalking.
I'm not stalking. No. But I'll tell you, if I were as amazing as him, I wouldn't have to ask that question. I could.
Yeah. I always tease him when he says, "What time do I have to be at the show?" Come on, Chris. I don't have to tell you this. All right, I'll be there at 7. Yeah, so he kind of knows the answer, but he wants to confirm it.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. No, I was wondering what it had to do with Connecticut. I didn't know if it was a separate. You know what I mean?
His is the exception.
His is the exception. Okay.
Because he gave me the forward, and when he gave me the forward, and I God bless him. He gave me a great chapter in the book of top 10 horror lists. And I said, with any chance you'd want to do the forward for it? And it was kind of the payoff. He said, I'll do the forward, but I have an amazing story I want to share. And I said, the stories are all based around Connecticut. He goes, no, it'll be worthwhile. You don't want this to be left out of the book. So yeah, how am I going to say no?
I was going to say, it's amazing, Kreskin. Of course you can't say no.
You can't say
Right.
no. But that's pretty great, though. I mean, that's really great.
A lot of the people, what's really funny is the book came out right before my second Connecticut Paranormal Convention, Paracon, and about half of the people who contributed to the book were at that convention, either as guests, as vendors, as speakers. So we made a sign saying, I'm in this book, with a picture of the book.
Wow.
I'll sign it too. And people,
cool.
it was so cool, guys. It was like a scavenger hunt. They'd get the book.
Yeah.
They'd sign the front. They'd look through the book and go, oh my gosh, wait, where is this guy? I got to find his table. And he'd go to the table, and they'd get, them to sign their chapter. So some people were like filling up the book, and then they were like, it's too bad we couldn't get this guy, Hector. He doesn't have a table. I go, wait, he's a guest. He's right there. And we'd send them right over to where they were. So that's one of those, I'm not going to say once in a lifetime scenarios, but it just worked out so well that the book had just come out.
Yep.
The guests were all there. The vendors were who contributed to it. All the people were kind of in the same room, and some of them will be in Salem. So I'll be selling the book there and trying to sign autographs for it.
Make me a list, Christina. Anything you need, autographs or whatever, make a list.
I'm working on it right now.
See what else I can do.
Just say everyone.
I love the pictures. I love pictures of all of these people. So make sure you get selfies with everybody.
Definitely.
Which you did when we were in Ohio. We went to Ohio. It's some O name at the end. But we were in Ohio, and we were going around taking pictures of everybody. It was great.
So I remember what I did, guys. First of all, I don't know if we can see this, but here's some old photos of Kreskin and myself. One of them being really friendly, and one of them reading my mind, of course.
Oh my
And it was blank. I'm sorry to say, but he didn't do a separate chapter. I stand corrected. He incorporated his story into the forward.
Ah,
So the criteria of Connecticut and true stands valid. He
It doesn't matter.
incorporated his story into his forward.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's great. So what's your favorite? Do you enjoy the paranormal or the Beatles more? What's your
Oh, I can't say.
That's a tough
Growing up, let me start by a preface. Growing up, I would always say my first memory in life was seeing the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. Christina, Ed Sullivan was this guy who was on Sunday nights, and it was like America's Got Talent without voting. Anyway,
I'm
but-
older than I look, apparently.
meanwhile, Scott's offended that we assume he's 100 years old.
Well, I did happen to know that witches live at least 100 or 200 years. So I'm not sure where she is on the whole grand scheme of things.
I'll never tell.
So when I started, really embracing my horror roots, I was always a horror kid. I built all the monster models. I watched every, Chiller theater show, every creature feature.
Are you
Got
a Spindly fan?
famous monsters of filmland. Christopher Lee, he was the next generation with Peter Cushing, but it was Bella for me, and Boris Karloff and Lon Chaney and Peter Cushing and Peter Lorre, all the greats. Anyway, I remembered that there might have been one memory before the Ed Sullivan Show, and that was, I love telling the story, and it was my mom sitting me down and saying, look, you love the rock and roll. My mom was from, Bronx. She had that smoky voice. You're going to also love watching horror movies with me, whether you like it or not. Sat me down. And growing up in New York, growing up in the Bronx, there was something called the $1 Million Movie, which would show the same movie, whether it was Inherit the Wind, whether it was, one of these famous Casablanca. It would show the same movie Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the whole week, because we didn't have DVRs, we didn't have streaming, we didn't have CDs and video. If you watched it, you watched it. If you missed it, you prayed by that Bible, the TV guide, that you would find when it would be on again.
Right.
Well, the exception to that was, of course, $1 Million Movie, which was on every night. And she wanted me to see Frankenstein, but Bride of Frankenstein was on. And she sat me down. And guys, I never went to bed early. I would stay up till midnight. However late my parents stayed up, I stayed up. I never. Anyway, that night I was in bed with the first note of the film. I was scared. I don't know why. Maybe because I was 3, or I don't know. But anyway, I ran to bed, and she was smart. The next night, she didn't say, you're going to watch this no matter what. She made warm milk. She did the Jiffy Pop. You remember Jiffy Pop?
Yeah.
She left the lights on. She threw blankets over us. We cuddled. We kuchka together. And she tried again. And I'll admit, I watched it like this, a little. Third night, did the same thing. I watched it fully. By the fourth night, I was reciting lines back. And by the fifth night, because I didn't know, I thought this was going to be on every night now of my life. I didn't understand the concept. I said, what time is it starting? She said 7 o'clock. Okay, I had no idea what 7 o'clock was. Saturday, I asked to watch it again, but of course it wasn't on. I was hooked. She took out the TV guide. She read me when this Dracula movie was on, when the Mummy movie was on. She went through the list, and I became addicted. To this day, guys, I try to watch every horror movie that comes out with my kids, and still love the genre. So it's kind of like secondhand that I got into the paranormal, because I was always on the horror side. And even with the Salem show, I call
They
it
go hand in hand.
in a way. And I don't want to offend, the purists of the paranormal who think that there's any slight by calling it horror, and the horror people, of course, think that the paranormal is separate. For me, there's a connection because I love them both, but I've fallen in love with the paranormal later in life, and that's through a partner who really got me involved, where we became the shaman and the showman, and I was the showman, and he was, and now so I have new shamans who I work with. And we go out and we do paranormal investigations. I don't want to say I play the skeptic because I know that it's out there. I know by experience, by photos that I've taken, that the realism of it. But it plays better that I'm the non-believer and I'm doing the introductions and I'm rolling my eyes. And then by the end of the night, when we get the amazing results and we get the meters and we get everything, I'm part of the crew who then, who's found the exploration to be successful. And so, that's how I kind of segued into the conventions and doing psychic fairs. It started out by doing events and going on paranormal investigations with groups of people. And the results have been through the roof.
That's phenomenal.
What kind of investigations have you been on?
Oh my gosh. So if mostly Connecticut. So we did a place called Dudleytown where we got a cease and desist. We went there 3 times with groups. I can go because some of the places are in the book, believe it or not, even before I even went there or after I went there. One of my best results I'll share with you. I'm not someone who feels anything. Scott, you may walk into a room and gravitate right towards a corner and know that something happened in that corner. You might have, you might be a medium, you might be clairvoyant, you might have that. I don't. What I have is when I'm told to take pictures somewhere, I will take 50 pictures, and out of those 50, there's always a handful that are like, what is that in that picture? And I'll give an example. We went to the Ansonia Opera House in Ansonia, Connecticut, which
we did that last spring.
You did?
Yeah.
Well, it had been shuttered for ages.
Right.
And it reopened and it's going through renovation.
Yeah.
What I found was that it was just a dusty, mucky old opera house. Now, if you know opera houses, there's a great history. It's not operas were never held there. People like Houdini would play there because if you were on a train route and the city had 2 things, a grand hotel and a opera house, that would be part of your tour. So if you're Houdini and you're playing these, this route, you would stop and perform there. If you're Al Jolson, if you're Eddie Cantor, on the way, that's how you would get from train to station to venue. And so we got in there and took pictures. There was one doorway up above. It was sort of in the balcony. It had light shining through it and you couldn't access it. I don't think it was safe enough to walk up there. And so none of the crew was there. No one, but I was told to just keep taking pictures there, take pictures. And I took a ton of pictures. And in one picture, guys, it's the cover of my book. There was
that's the Ansonia Opera House.
It sure is. That's the shrouded, shadow figure. So I had to put that on the cover of my book. With the bottom, I cheated. That's from the ossuary in Prague. The skulls, but I thought it made for a nice juxtaposition of that with that.
Yeah.
And unless someone asks, they don't even understand that that's a place in Connecticut. That's the Ansonia Opera House, and the shot I took. Also, at that investigation, I was told to take pictures right below that awning, right below the balcony. And the person said, "I'm feeling a cold. I feel something there." And I took a ton of pictures. And sure enough, in one of the pictures, it's in my book, there's these 2 Nosferatu-looking spectrals that are not walking, but they're literally levitating across the floor. Looks like they're 10 feet tall and they're about 4 feet off the ground. And you can see the white face, like the elbow of somebody in motion, and nothing else, back. So I put that in the book too. And when people say, "I don't believe this," and you've never seen anything, I get out my phone and I go right to those set of photos and I go, "Okay, I'm not going to tell you anything except that I took exactly what I said, a slew of photos of the same thing. And in one of the photos, here's what came out. And I think that's might be my calling, because I'm able to capture a lot of amazing stuff on photograph that I don't see, I don't feel, and I don't have any sense for.
But it just
Do
shows.
you use any? Oh, I'm sorry, Scott. Go ahead.
No, I said, but it just shows up on film. I get the same thing with audio.
Yeah.
I pick stuff up on audio that it's just crazy. I have got some things on camera, but mostly audio is the thing.
Chrissy, were you going to say something? Because I want to add to
Do
it.
you use any special equipment, or using a camera, a cell phone camera?
I do everything on my cell phone. Everyone I work
Mhm.
with usually bring, high def. They'll bring all different, slew. You name the camera, they have it. XLR. I don't even know. I don't know any equipment. I'm learning what spirit boxes are. I'm learning all the meters, just so that I can be well versed in it. But I'll take it out, and I won't know what to do. I go out with a gentleman by the name of Sean Austin. I don't know if you've had him on your show. Sean was one of the principals in Netflix's series called 28 Days Haunted, which focused on 3 different states. It focused on one truly haunted location in each of the state, and they were placed there for 28 days. And to see what would happen, no access to computer, no access to cell phones. And sure enough, Sean Austin had some amazing results. And when that was done, and because it was Connecticut, I said to Sean, why don't we go back to this place? It's called Captain Grant's Inn in Preston, Connecticut. I said, let's do a weekend at this inn. Let's have people stay over. Each night we'll do an investigation. And he did. And what was crazy was, before we had our event, a police officer had gone. There's 2 cemeteries. There's the ancient cemetery in the back, and then there's the older cemetery across the street in the front. So one is the family cemetery of Captain Grant's, and the other one is the town cemetery. And a police officer went to visit his mom's grave in the older one, and he killed himself at the grave. He shot himself. The night we visited, guys, 2 of the people on our trip from 2 different directions, without any hesitation, without ever being there before, went right to the tombstone, the grave where he where he killed himself, where his mom was buried. Sean Austin followed and goes, how would you have known? I mean, that's correct. That is the place. And so that was the first of the amazing things. The second thing is, I mean, his spirit box that night was off the charts. The things that were being said and where we were told to go. But there was a hidden crypt on the cemetery across the street, where we did research and found out that before bodies were buried, if they had to be brought in the night before, they were kept in that hidden crypt. And it's been stopped. It wasn't used for that for many years. And I guess people used it if they were squatters or if they were homeless for a night or 2. And the only reason we realized that is because there were old candles and there were some blankets. When we went there, it wasn't easy to get into. You'd crawl in, you'd take some pictures, and it was a nice part of the whole experience. Well, I didn't go. I didn't go on the 3 different times that the group went. They went early in the evening. Then they had their, investigation in the house, and Sean Austin did, readings, and he did the equipment. And the last night there was a couple that came. It was actually a sister and a brother, came from Maine, and they were like an hour and a half late. So we had already gone there, and I didn't. And they go, "Can we go, to this crypt, because we missed out?" And Sean goes, "Yeah, when it's all done, we'll go." He goes, "But Charles, you're going this time." I go, "Sure, no problem." I got to tell you guys, I haven't admitted this on the air. I'm a little chicken for places that I think might have some, I don't want to say, malevolent forces, but might, have spirits still in them. I don't want to be attached. I don't, there's cleansings, and you're always told that no problem. You're with someone who can do a cleansing. You'll be safe. We'll do the whole prayers. We'll put salt. You'll be fine. I don't want to take that chance if I don't have to. And when we've gone inside houses that we knew were very, very possessed, I sent the group, I sent my paranormal team, and I did not go in. So I was very reluctant to go in, but they talked me into it. I said I would go with them. And sure enough, when we got there, guys, the pathway to this crypt was now covered with branches, with trees, within a matter of maybe an hour. There's no way a human could have done this. A team could not have done this. You could not now access that crypt. It was blocked, and it was blocked by nature. There were trees, branches, leaves. It was just like covered up, so you couldn't walk the pathway and that was one of those wow moments and wow experiences I can't explain. Sean Austin couldn't explain it. The people could not get into there, so we went to where it was, but didn't go inside. We had to just show them pictures of what other people took inside the crypt. And to this day, we have no rationale or explanation why we weren't allowed access by some being or some entity or whatever it was that decided to cover up a pathway to that crypt.
Spirit just wouldn't let you in that night.
No.
Maybe somebody was looking out for you. Who knows,
Maybe a good spirit wanted to keep me from going in there for some ominous reason. Wow, I never thought of that.
And I hate to say it, Charles. I just have this feeling that anything that might be bad out there, I think it preys on fear. I really do. I think if you're afraid, it's just you're just a target.
Yeah.
I feel that way.
That's possible, but I also feel if there's something bad out there, what are the odds, guys? If we're in a convention and there's 1,000 people, right? Mm-hmm. How many of those people are evil? How many of those, mutilated animals as a kid? I would say 0. Now go to 10,000, go to 100,000, maybe 1. Why do you think that there's going to be a spirit at every haunting that's evil? I don't. You agree with me, right?
I do agree with you.
Yes. There's not a demon on every street corner.
It's going to be right. It's going to be the same ratio. There's going to be 999,000 good spirits. And maybe some need to cross over. Granted, maybe some are happy where they are for whatever reason. But if there's going to be that one demonic, evil monster, I'll take the chance of 1 in a million, but I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to go into places where it might be.
Well, and I also think, too, that doesn't mean that every spirit's a nice guy. Jules used to have a saying, and I can say this on here, an asshole in life, an asshole in death. I mean, if you weren't a nice...
I've known several people that had that same quote.
If you're not nice here, you're probably not going to be nice when you cross over.
You're not suddenly rainbows and unicorns. If you were the jerk, get off my lawn, you're still going to be screaming to people, get off your lawn.
And there's going to be the jerks. There's going to be, maybe the ones who play tricks, maybe the mischievous ones. I think that's what I would be if I was a spirit. I would be the goof. I would do mischievous stuff. You too, really? But yeah, there's going to be some a-holes, but the evil is going to be so minimal, and that's why it's so well recorded, I think, and that's why there's books on Lindley Street, and there's books on perhaps the Amityville and the Conjuring, because those are such examples of the furthest that could be.
Although I got to tell you, Charles, I've been in the Conjuring house, I don't know how many times, and I don't feel there's anything really horrible in there either. I mean, people say, oh, yeah. I don't know. I fell asleep in the bedroom upstairs. I just don't feel like it's that bad. There's never been anything in there that makes me feel like, ugh. They say that when something's really demonic, it affects your spine. You start to get like maybe a little sick to your stomach, intestinal stuff.
There's an odor.
Yeah, I feel very comfortable in there. I really do.
Yeah. Most everyone I've known who's ever gone there has felt the same, and they've enjoyed the experience of going there, because it's a name brand haunted location. but I've never heard of anyone who came back with, with results or with anything that was like, oh, you won't believe what happened there.
There's a lot of haunted places out there. I mean, I've been to, you know, Madison Seminary in Ohio and a few other places that are like that. That's places for real. Again, not demonic. I didn't feel that, but it was active and creepy. A lot more than you might find at the Conjuring House. But the Conjuring House has a name.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
because of the
Well,
movie.
it's a universe now.
Yeah, it's a universe. Exactly. And so people want to get in there. They want to see. And I don't blame them. I wanted to see too. And I've been in there a few times. It's not that there's nothing there. It's just nothing bad. There's just nothing
Yeah.
bad. It's got a good, I feel like it's got an okay energy. Creepy
Yeah.
sometimes, maybe, but not anything scary, really.
I felt the same at this, Captain Granson in Preston. I stayed an overnight, and my wife was shocked. She said, you actually stayed over. She couldn't believe it. And it wasn't because I had planned to originally. There's only a handful of rooms. There was a no-show, and I was just so tired. And I had a great night's sleep. I had one of the best night's sleeps I'd had all year. Maybe it was the bed. Maybe it was, just sleeping alone for one night. I don't know what it was. And everyone was like, Charles, we can't believe you of all people slept over. Did you have any experiences? I go, guys, I didn't even dream. I had the best night. So you never know. You never know.
See, I can't. If I'm on location for something like that, I just can't sleep.
I'm going to do a sleepover in Vermont. I told you the Wilson Castle in Vermont, and that's in the middle of October. And I was there one other time in October, and it was so cold, I couldn't stand it. It was about 80 degrees here, where I am near Boston. By the time you got there, it was just horribly cold. Just couldn't warm. You can't sleep. You can't sleep. Plus all the other stuff around you. I can't do that. So I'll be up all night, I'm sure.
We touch upon the Conjuring House, and early, I always say, when you think magic, you think Houdini. When you think mentalism, Kreskin. When you think paranormal, we owe our roots, a lot of roots to the Warrens, and it's really great because there's a lot, because they were from Connecticut, of course.
Sure.
In my book, True Ghost Stories of Connecticut, a lot of the people who gave me chapters were disciples, were assistants. They worked for the Warrens. They knew the Warrens. And I want to share you guys my Warren story, because what we don't touch upon is for 25 years now, I've been doing Dracula tours to Transylvania. And those gave birth to ghost tours. We did ghost tours to England and all these really cool places. And when we started doing the ghost tour, for Dracula tour, we had some special guests. We had Eddie Munster, Butch Patrick.
He's so cool.
Yeah, such a great guy. And what was her name? One of the Hammer horror gals who passed. I don't remember. Anyway, so I thought for the ghost thing, why don't we get someone really well known, and they're in our backyard. Let's call the Warrens, and maybe they'll come with us on the ghost tour. We had a partner who's since passed. His name was Danny, and Danny said, "Yeah, this is great. The world doesn't know him, but everyone in Connecticut does, because that was the case in those days." And he said, and he met with them, and they said, "No, we're kind of too old to be traveling overseas. We do cases locally now." And Ed was getting on, and he said, "Why don't you use our nephew John Zaffis, who's a great guy and has been to our conventions," and gave me a great story in the book. And we said, "All right, maybe." Now, we hadn't heard of Zaffis, so we didn't use him. And since then, we kid each other about that. But Danny went over to the Warrens' home. I didn't. I think I was on a Beatles tour in Liverpool, because I think it was in August. So he had gone over his house, and he used to love telling the story, because Lorraine was either out or asleep already. It was at night, and he came over, and Ed Warren, first thing he did was, "Come downstairs. I got to show you the museum," which was basically the relics, and the antiquities in the basement. So Danny goes down there, and Danny goes, and Ed shows him this, and he goes, "This is from this case," and then he goes over to one thing under glass, and he goes, "No matter what, no one is to ever touch this one." And it was the Annabelle doll, the famous Annabelle doll, under lock and key, in a glass case. At which point Danny is looking at it and the phone rings and Ed goes, "Excuse me, I'll be right back." Runs upstairs to get the call. And Danny is in this basement surrounded by every haunted artifact that's ever
With
been
Annabelle.
in front of Annabelle. Guys, you know what happened then? By itself, the glass opens up. Danny said he never in his life playing baseball, basketball, he never in his life ran so fast up the stairs out of that basement. And that's our Warren's story. And it's a true story. And I didn't put that in the book. I did not put that in the book. But yeah.
That's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave it there because we are getting to the end of the show. I know it's like the quickest. It's always like the quickest.
I'm glad I was able to end with the Warren story.
But I do want to touch upon something that you said. We have just a couple of minutes left. You had talked about the story with the amazing Kreskin and what if I had gotten on that flight? What if someone had waited at the elevator to go up into the World Trade Center? I mean, there are people that have said they missed the elevator.
Yeah.
If they hadn't missed the elevator, they may have died and been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Right. Yeah. I had John Zaffis on my show last year.
Oh.
And I got an email from a man that said to me, "Hey, I know you don't know me. I'm an actor. I've been on West Wing and House of Cards and all kinds of stuff." And he said, "I played John Zaffis on a haunting on several different episodes." So I wrote back and I said, "Oh my God, did you ever meet him?" He says, "No, that's the funny thing." He says, "I was on set playing him and then he was on set being him, but we never met." So I said to him, I tell you what, why don't you come on the show and I'll introduce you. So I introduced the fake John Zaffis to the real John Zaffis on this show one night.
I love it.
Here's the funny thing. We stayed in touch. He reaches out to me several months later and he says, "Listen, I'm writing a show," because he's a playwright too. He's opened shows in London and New York. He's writing a show about that very thing. What if? All those what if chances, and he also has had a near-death experience and he wants to talk about that and the opening to mediumship and ghosts. And this whole autobiographical play is about that. He asked me to co-author it with him.
Amazing.
Show opens at the Alley Theater in Middleborough on November 2nd. So me and Robert Neil Marshall are going to be presenting. It's called Providence of the Heart. And it really is providing everyday affirmations that life is truly eternal, but we all may have a little magic in all of us. So anybody that's interested in that, if you're in Massachusetts in the Middleborough area, go to mediumscottallen.com/events and you will see the tickets for that show. And November 2nd, brand new show in preparation for a national tour. He's putting it out there and it's going to be a very exciting show.
Wow. I want to see it. I want to go.
Yeah. So that's going to be November 2nd, November 11th and 12th. I'm with you at the Paracon. December 7th, I'm going to be at the Kilburn Events Center in New Bedford. That's a gallery. I've got the Bull Run in Shirley in January and Whites of Westport in February 1st. So anybody that wants to come to a gallery, I'm working with Chris Brown at the Salem State and psychic medium Karen Tatro at the other events in New Bedford, Westport, and Shirley. So there's a lot coming up, a lot of live shows. If anybody wants to come, tickets are available. I think all the tickets, except for the Paracon, they're $35. All the other tickets are $40 to all the other events. So please feel free. We'd love to see you. And I'm going to be in Maine at the end of this month too. October 21st, Parafest Maine is coming up. I'm going to be reading there. So if anybody's up north and wants to come to that, would love to see you there as well. But I really
I'm gonna need your autograph too.
Well, I'll send it to you. You don't have to. I'll just send it to you. But Charles, I hope people do come to Salem because I think it's going to be a great show.
Yes.
You've got a lot of great things lined up, and there's going to be a lot to see.
We're gonna have a lot of fun, definitely.
Yeah. Next week we're going to be talking to Jill Shelley from the Boyd House in Boyd, Minnesota. She owns a haunted house, and she's got some stuff going on there, boy, from all kinds of apparitions and shadow creatures and the like. So stay with us next week right here on the Paranormal Project. Thank you to our guest, Charles Rosenay, and of course, my lovely, lovely co-host, Christina Bowen. We'll see you all next week. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks so much.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Paranormal Project Radio Show with Scott Allen and Christina Bowen. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. While you're there, leave us a rating and review. We'll be back next week with more exciting guests. Now go out there and explore the paranormal.